welcome to the Keyboard Road Warrior with me, Movie Scout 007, where we play Euro Truck Simulator 2 with a keyboard on a laptop. So, we're in Copenhagen. We have £602,000 in our bank. The truck got repaired because we had a little bit of an accident in Copenhagen with the landscape not being quite what it should be. So, we don't need to drive anywhere, but we do need to rest and recuperate. So, before we drive anywhere, before we pick a new job, and before we go and buy the garage that we are we are absolutely going to buy, let us take our rest break. It will get us back to a complete state of restfulness, and then we can... in fact, I think we have to drive. So, for some reason the sound is off. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a loop and go to the garage that we're going to... Actually, let's look at the map. Let's find out where this garage is in Copenhagen, and we'll go there. Right, yes, it's a loop. It's past. It's here. It's in here. So we'll go out. So let's do that. Let's parking brake off, and let's rock and roll. Okay, and off we go. So it's a relief to be back. It's a relief to have a working game. Don't get me wrong, I'm very much looking forward to update 1.9 and working with the new AI, but not at the expense of ProMods. It's just it adds too much to the map for me to be able to do without it, and it's also make it very difficult for me to do this series. I enjoy the sort of the variety, going from one side of Europe to the other. I mean, obviously that will be better when more and more of Europe is included, and it'll be even more engaging when they've added Spain, when they've added more of Italy. But that, that's not going to happen soon. In order for ProMods in order for Euro Truck Simulator 2 to get anywhere near Spain, they've got to complete France. Excuse me. For those of you whose geography of Europe's a little bit rusty, and believe me, it did include me, I did have to quickly double check how much of France was connected to Spain. It's the bottom left hand corner. It's actually not that much of France and Spain connected. Essentially, the top right-hand corner of Spain is attached to the bottom left-hand corner of France, and they've got a small border. They have to get to quite far south. Oh, I didn't have my parking brake on. They have to get quite far south in order to get connected to Spain, and that's fine. They're working through it. They said 18 months to complete to do a complete country. It's been 6 months already. So right, so we're going to buy this garage. Boom! Let's buy the garage. And let's fill it with drivers. So let's escape to the map. Let's go to the truck dealership. We're in Copenhagen, so we're not going to do anything but Volvos. Coaling. Right, so you guys know the drill. If you've been watching this long enough, we need to get rid of the engine. That at this stage in our career is unnecessary for our drivers. So let's purchase it and let's put it in Copenhagen. And purchase another one. Put it in Copenhagen. Let's purchase a third one. We still have 218,000. That tells me that we can probably afford to upgrade the garage. So let's go to Copenhagen. Let's upgrade it. Spend 80 grand on it. Yes, please. And let's go back. Oh, it wants to show us the upgraded garage. Bless it. And there it is. Lovely. Okay, fantastic. let's go. So we have a remaining 138,000. That means we can probably buy one more truck. Boom. Unfortunately, we do have to customize the damn thing again, which is irritating. Boom. Copenhagen. Right, that leaves us £57,000. We know that's not enough to buy the final truck, but it is enough to hire the 5 drivers that we need. So, you know the drill. I prefer a spread because it makes it easier for them to upgrade. I'm looking for 3. I had a lot of trouble with this when I was up doing my London garage. There we go. There's Lucy. Lucy's going to be our #1 pick in Copenhagen. So Lucy first. And then another 3 with a spread, hopefully. If we run out of 3s with spread, then we'll go for 2s. There's another 3, Julian. Boom. Let's stick Julian in Copenhagen. For those of you who don't like this part of the game, I am sorry, but oops, it is necessary. I do need to do this in order to build the empire, so that I can spend the money. So that I can build the empire, so that I can grow the company, so that I get to spend money on trucks. Yay! Tobias. Oh, Tobias has got the golden. He's got one of these ADC, and he had the eco. So see if we can find number 4. Our number 4 driver. Obviously, at some point, we're going to run out of drivers that have got 3 skills already, and we'll be down to 2. So it looks like Monica is our last driver with 3. So Monica, from this point on, we are looking for drivers with 2 skill points. That's well, actually no. Madison is probably our last driver. So. We have bought this garage. Let's go and sleep in it. Oop. Oop. No, I don't want to manage it. I want to rest at it, which means I need to go to the other end. So, we'll do our usual, by which time we should have enough money for our 5th truck and our 5th driver. As you can see, we've got more than enough, £313,000. Okay, so let's pick up the final truck and the final driver, and I believe that's going to be Madison, so that should be relatively quick. So, Volvo, Colding, buy online. Volvo FH sleeper, customised to get rid of the engine, boom, boom, confirm, purchase, stick it in Copenhagen, boom, driver, which I believe is Madison. So let's hire Madison, and let's put Madison in Copenhagen, and hopefully that should be it. Right, so look at that. We've done well, and we are getting to the stage where in the course of one journey we can completely equip a garage. This is what I like to see. Right, so now we're going to go and select ourselves some gainful employment. Do we have a garage in Białystok? Don't think so. And we're looking, we've got Warsaw, Bergen, Grimsby. Alright, okay, there's no there is nothing in a capital. Where's Białystok? That's all over the north. Manchester. Alright, let's take the high-paying job in Poland. We're going to have a ton of cash because we're not going to be buying a garage in Poland. Well, we've already got Warsaw as our capital. Sorry. Right, so let us go and collect the load, and let's hope against hope that the load isn't in that location that caused us so much damage. Right, so we've bought... Oops, that wasn't cool. We'll finally be able to have bought a garage and see the petrol station that I keep talking about, and there it is. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to load up with fuel. So engine off. 96 pence a litre. It's pretty good. Look at that, £814 for 843.41 litres of fuel. That's pretty good. Right. So we need to take a right turn out of our garage. So, oh no. We're golden, right. We're driving straight into a... Oh no, we were driving straight into a red light, but it's gone green. That's cool. So today, I mentioned that I went to Australia to watch the first Grand Prix of the 2014 season in Melbourne, and I'm going to talk about that, because that was a new and interesting experience. I don't know if I've mentioned this before in one of these videos. I started going to the British Grand Prix quite late in my love of Formula 1. I didn't get to go to one because, well, A, it's expensive and I didn't have a particularly well-paying job until a few years ago, and it's quite difficult to get to if you're not vehicularly set up, and my vehicle history's been a bit patchy. In fact, I did live in Bristol for about 8 to 9 years, and during that time I probably didn't have a vehicle for about half that time. That was fine. I didn't, for about 4 years I didn't really need it. I could quite easily walk to work. In fact, walking was the only way I could get to work, because there was no parking at that particular workplace. Well, that's fine. So in 2009, I married my beautiful wife, and in 2010, at her suggestion, our first anniversary present to each other were tickets to the British Grand Prix. Yes, I love my wife. She is bloody awesome. So that was the start. 2010 was a fantastic British Grand Prix as an experience for a spectator. It was the last year of the pits being where they had been, and we could see the new pit complex being built. We could see the framework for the new pit complex being built while we were there in 2009. 2011, we were there for the first year of the new pit complex, and 2012 was the third year that we went to the British Grand Prix. Unfortunately, no Briton won during that time. I think the winners were Mark Webber, Nico Rosberg, and Fernando Alonso, although don't quote me on that, I might have got that slightly wrong. However, no Briton won it since I've been attending. But the experience of going into a Grand Prix is so completely different from the experience of watching it on the television. You just don't get the sense of how small and how powerful these things are until you've actually seen one in, I was going to say in the flesh, it's not in the flesh, but in almost up close and personal. Certainly you don't get a sense of how fast they're going either because television foreshortens everything, and it makes everything seem a little bit closer. It makes everything you don't get a sense of how quickly these things approach you. Ooh. I really need to start looking at what it is that I'm picking up before I pick it up. These aren't particularly pleasant. They're not the worst load. We all know what the worst load is. I've picked up that load twice. It's the ore in the very short white open-topped bucket trailer. That's absolutely the worst. But here we go. A quick slug of coffee before we set off. Right, so we're going to Poland. That'll mean a minuscule okay, we're good. That'll mean a minuscule journey on a ferry, but not enough to get a rest. We are going to have a rest. I have spent a lot of this video purchasing trucks and hiring drivers and spending money. So this is going to be a relatively long video. It's probably going to be an hour and a half, an hour and 15 minutes actually, because it's a shorter journey. It's only 16 hours. So yes, so I also spent the first 3 Grand Prix that I ever went to, the 3 British Grand Prix that I've just spoken about, protecting my ears from the intense noise of Formula 1. Until 2014, the noise was quite astonishing. Incredibly loud. And very... we're going to be stuck at this for 2 light cycles, I believe. Because someone wants to do something I don't quite understand. He wants to cross traffic. So yes, incredibly loud. There have been some significant rule changes to Formula 1 between the end of the 2013 and the beginning of the 2014 season. The most noticeable for an attendee of the Grand Prix is the noise. I spoke about this briefly in one of I think my last video or the video before that. Yeah, the last video, number 70. On my way here to Copenhagen, I spoke about it. The engines have changed. In 2013, the engine was a 2.4 litre V8, normally aspirated behemoth. In 2014, it's a 1.6 V6 turbo. That's made a significant difference to the noise that the vehicles make. Oops, sorry. My throat wanted to burp, and I was in the middle of saying something. Sorry, you didn't need to know that. So yes, it's not quite half the engine capacity. That would be 1.2. But it's not far off. But in order to compensate for the loss of engine size, they've allowed turbos to return. Now, the reason they're doing this is to make Formula One more fuel economic. They're trying to give Formula One a green image. It seems like a pretty ludicrous thing for a sport, about a motorsport, to attempt, but they're doing it. They're making their claims about fuel efficiency plain by reducing the fuel tank size by 1/3. So this year's tanks are 2/3 of the size of last year's fuel tanks. It's quite a bold thing to do. Now, obviously, when turbos were first introduced, if you're a fan of Formula One and you've been a fan for a while, if you're older than, say, 35, actually, if you're older than 40, I think you have to have been older than 40 to remember turbos. When they first were introduced, they were an absolute disaster because they were about as reliable as a chocolate teapot on a furnace. They would break down all the time. Now, the initial proponents of turbo in Formula One were Renault, and they were deeply impressive. They scampered away from everything at the beginning of a race, but the trouble was that they were not particularly reliable, and what would happen is they would get so far into the race, they would lap everyone at least a couple of times, and then they would just stop working. They would be some almighty explosions, some seriously impressive breakdowns. Not as impressive as the Lotus explosion with the German driver whose name escapes me now, where the part of the engine escaped out the side of his car and nearly clipped his ankle. Oh, I wish I could remember his name now. Annoying. He looks a bit like Mulder from the X-Files. That helps me find his name. Yes, he drove. He drove for half a year for Lotus, because Lotus's first choice, the Polish driver, whose name was, oh God. Again, I think I need to go to the doctor when I get back to the UK because I think the Alzheimer's is starting to kick in. Kubica. When Kubica crashed and almost ripped his hand off while rallying in between seasons, they hired Heinz-Harald Frentzen, I think it was. Was it Frentzen? No, it might not have been Frentzen, actually. Anyway, they hired a German driver, to replace him for half a year. He didn't bring any money. He was a temporary measure. He was fast. He got a podium, but he faded as the car faded, and they needed money, so they got a pay driver in for the rest of the season. But anyway, so turbos became the de facto engine of Formula One for a long time, and then they were outlawed. And when they were outlawed, they were outlawed over a 2-year period. The big teams kind of stuck with turbo until they absolutely had to get rid of them, and then they had a second championship for normally aspirated engines, which was a bit bizarre. I think it was one of the final years of the great Tyrrell Formula One team, before it got folded into a bunch of other teams and became something completely different, and sort of got lost in the web that is Formula One, which was a real shame. always get very, very nervous when I come to one of these junctions. I will have to pause the game because there's a traffic jam. And lo and behold, there is a traffic jam. And he wants to turn left. This is one of those times where I really wish I had the track IR. I fear that I'm going to buy it when I return to England. There's no question that I'm going to buy it. My fear is that I won't be able to use it for quite a while because it will have a detrimental effect on the frame rate of the game. There's no traffic jam at this point. There's no double traffic jam. The peril is a double traffic jam where this side of the road has traffic as well, and there's nowhere for any vehicle to go, and the AI isn't intelligent enough to... hang on. Oh, hang on, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do that. Yes, the AI isn't intelligent enough to make a judgment call about when it's safe to go when there's a small gap. It sort of waits for big gaps, which is a bit ludicrous. No, I'm not sure whether that's a thing. Actually, it waits for big gaps, or it just goes right in front of you. It just pulls out right in front of you, which it traditionally does at roundabouts. Roundabouts seem to be the nemesis of the AI in this game, in that they don't know how to deal with him. Oh, this is painful. This is not fun for you guys to watch. So Turbo was pretty much it was the only engine to have, and the big Formula 1 teams kept hold of turbo engines as long as they possibly could, until they absolutely couldn't anymore, and then they went with normally aspirated. It's back. Using a turbo is actually relatively fuel efficient. You're injecting exactly the right amount of fuel into the engine, which fuel injection's been a part of car engines for a long time, and now it's such a part of engines they don't even bother to put the little I. They used to always put a little I at the end of a model name or model number to indicate that it was fuel injected. That would now just induce confusion with Apple products. So it's not really a selling point anymore. Come on. I fear what I might have to do is escape, save, and load. Now, obviously, I would have to pause the recording to do that, because there's too much personal information on the loading screens for me to expose that to YouTube. This is one of the things that the AI update is hopefully going to fix. And it's one of the reasons why I was excited to download it until I read the ProMods website that said don't, because you lose. Okay, yeah, this is not fun, so I'm going to pause here. What I'll do is I'll pause, I'll upload the footage, and hopefully that should be the rest of the journey. I shouldn't need to pause again, but this is not happening, and it's not a fun part of the game for you guys to watch, so I'll be back in a moment. You will notice the difference because the traffic jam in front of me will be gone, but the traffic jam behind me will still be there. Okay, you can see the traffic has gone. So let's... Oh, the traffic jam behind us actually went. That's unusual. That doesn't normally happen. Right. That kind of... Oh, the buses are suicidal. That junction should absolutely be priority for vehicles going under it. not vehicles coming off it. So we were talking about Formula One and how it was. Every year the authorities do everything that the FIA, the International Federation for Motorsport, the FIA, Fédération Internationale Automobile, do everything they can to slow the vehicles down. And turbos are becoming faster and faster, and so it just became a matter of when they would remove turbos rather than if they would remove turbos. Now obviously priorities are slightly different in the 21st century. Nowadays it's all about the environment. Oh no, I could have gone, damn it. I'm now stuck behind a bus that I could have overtaken. And I've overtaken it anyway. Everything's slowed down. We've got a speed limit. We've got a new speed limit. That's what we're talking about. Okay. 50. I find it quite hard to keep to 50. Okay, that was bizarre. Did you just see that AI traffic just disappear in front of us? That's weird. Alright. Okay. And we're taking a ferry. And I've stuck to 50. I'm determined not to get a speeding ticket this time. Alright, let's slow down a little because we know how these ramps can cause damage to the vehicle. So this should take us to Germany, I believe, and then once we're in Germany that'll be it for extra transport. So Rostock, that's Germany, you can see, and then we were just going that way. So through £272, 2 hours of travel time. That's fine, we won't get much sleep back from that. I forgot to put my handbrake on. We didn't really get much time out of that. 13 hours. So we did 2 hours of driving, 2 hours of ferry, and we've got 13 hours of driving left. And that's cool. This is a ferry town that we should be familiar with. I think we've been into it. Whoa. In and out of Rostock a couple of times. So, over the years, the FIA have changed engine sizes. They've changed the shape of things like the nose and the wings. They removed the ground effect, which Lotus introduced, which was essentially a curvature of the bottom of the truck, and then a skirt which touched the sides and introduced a kind of a venturi, a kind of a reverse wing effect underneath the car, and it really sucked the car to the ground, which meant that you could go around corners at some quite astonishingly high speeds. But all it took was a slight rip in the little skirt that went between the bottom of the side pod and the road itself, and you would lose all of the effect, but wouldn't know it until you were halfway around the corner and you were heading towards the wall rather than towards the next corner. So turbos are back. The engines are a little bit smaller. Which means that the cars are slightly shorter. Now, a couple of the teams can't afford to make significant changes to their vehicles, most notably Marussia. The Marussia, compared to the top teams, the Marussia looks like an ocean-going liner compared to a speedboat. It's probably over a foot longer to the eye. It might be a matter of an inch or two. It might not be. It looks longer. So the another change that they've made is they've made a change to the rear wings of the Formula One cars. There is no longer a sort of a second wing near the bottom of the rear wing assembly, which kind of acted as an extra part of the aerodynamics, and was also utilised in the blown exhausts. Exhausts would come out the side of either side of the vehicle. I'm going to lose momentum, it sucks. And then the hot air would be used to disturb the airflow, creating lower downforce, meaning that the vehicle could go faster. You really only need downforce on corners, and the ideal situation would be the ability to remove the downforce completely on straights and install it at corners. This is not an option that's open to Formula One teams, and so it's not an option that they utilise. Now, part of what I've just described, the blown diffusing, with using the exhaust, hot air from the exhaust to fiddle with the downforce, that option has now been removed. All teams are required to have a single exhaust port, and it's to come out of the back of the car, and it's to go through a blank hole in space. It's not allowed to affect. It's not allowed to hit any kind of aerodynamics, and so blown diffusers, blown exhaust fumes, all gone. It's gone. The idea of having a tube which affects downforce has gone. So McLaren had a fixed tube that came out of it was called the F duct, which is bizarre because it was only called the F duct because it came out, it was fixed in the letter F in the Vodafone logo at the front of the McLaren, but that became the de facto name for it. It was, oh crikey, it's called the F duct. And that was it was a duct at the top of the nose of the vehicle that then fed through a pipe all the way through the vehicle, and then it came out of the back of the vehicle and affected the aerodynamics of the car. And it was affected. There was a hole inside the vehicle which the driver would then cover with his knee. So air being what it is, it flows like water through the path of least resistance. So if there's a hole, the air will come out of it, and the hole would be in the cockpit. The driver would lean his knee against the hole when he wanted the effect to work. That would be on straights, and then that air would blow across the rear wing and would affect the aerodynamics of the wing, would disturb the air, making the wing less effective, which in turn would make the I am looking to start to go through service stations that I haven't been through, because they contribute to the 100%, and it's not really much of a detour. And I've just missed one. As you can see, the grey lump beside us, I could have gone down it, and it would have been a part of the road that I could have visited that I haven't already, but I missed the opportunity. It's quite difficult actually to see. You can't really tell whether you've been down a road until you're quite close to it. I am driving like a Formula 1 vehicle. I'm trying to hit apexes at the moment in order to keep as straight a line as possible, because the more corners you take, the more unstable the load is. And I don't want steep corners. I've got no choice coming up because I'm actually leaving the road and changing direction completely. I've been heading south through Germany, but I'm now going to be attaching myself to an east-west road. So let's slow down a little bit. because we've got a sharp corner coming up and we don't want to be going through it too quickly, and we have a 40 mile an hour speed limit. Obviously I'm going to ignore that because there are no speed cameras on these things. Ironically, this is one of the places where I would be quite happy having a speed camera in real life, because people do travel around these things far too fast, and it's a place you can quite easily have an accident. So yes, so with one single exhaust port, it solved a lot of the problems that some of the teams were facing, where they were having hot air do damage to the vehicle, because they were having it exit in the middle of the rear engine cowling on either side, at the back of the side pod, and it was also kind of affecting the shape. The back of the sort of the main compartment, the engine cowling of the vehicle, from the back of the driver's head all the way to where the wing attaches to the Formula One car, the most fuel efficient, air efficient way of shaping and sculpting that somewhat resembles an old Coke bottle, the glass Coke bottle, it's curved in and out, and having the fuel effect kind of disturbed that. Some teams couldn't deal with that very well. That's gone now. It has to exit in essentially the middle, one place out of the back of the engine cowling. Now, almost all of the teams, apart from Lotus, have that coming out the dead centre. Lotus have it slightly offset. I can't remember what reason they've chosen to do that. There was a legitimate reason for them to do that. Another change with regard to fuel efficiency is fuel flow. The engine should be receiving no more than a certain amount of fuel per a specific time limit. Now I'm going to talk about why I've mentioned that and why it's become significant, but it has become extremely significant and extraordinarily contentious just recently, and has in fact had a dramatic effect on the final result of the first race of the season, but I'll come back to that in a minute. The noses are another very obvious and very interesting, but in most cases very ugly change to the front of Formula One vehicles. Let's put my high beams on so that I can see where the heck I'm going. And what's happened is the nose has to be low, has to be very low, so that if a vehicle is hit from the side if one Formula car is hit from the side by another, the chances of that vehicle actually hitting the driver are minimised, because the nose now has to be incredibly low. In order to minimise in order to increase the clean air around the vehicle, the Formula One teams like to have the nose as high as possible. So what's happened is they've kind of developed an anteater nose. The nose is incredibly narrow from a certain point, from a legislated point. It becomes very narrow and dips very suddenly down, so it kind of looks like an anteater in most of the cars. There are a couple of notable exceptions. Mercedes and Ferrari have gone for, instead of a narrow anteater nose, they've gone for a wide sort of platypus style nose. While some of the vehicles have gone with a sort of a nostril look, McLaren have gone with a nostril look, Red Bull have gone with a nostril style look, and Williams have gone with a nostril style look. Caterham have gone with an extraordinarily ugly wedge nose with what looks like a pipe coming out of it. A very ungainly, very ugly approach to the new legislations. Now, to my mind, in order to get rid of... They're FIA complaining about this. That's not what they intended, but it's what their legislation has absolutely resulted in. The FIA have absolutely legislated for an Antita style nose. There's no getting away from it. If they want to get rid of the Antita nose, then they have to legislate for no space beneath the vehicle, because the teams are not going to give up this sort of scoop effect that they've got underneath the car, where they've kind of got like a wedge that divides the air and forces it around the side pods. I'm not so bothered. If teams approach it in the way that McLaren have approached it, even the way that Mercedes and Ferrari have approached it, then there's not really a lot to complain about. It's fine. It's not particularly ugly as far as I'm concerned. Whoa, look at that. That was some serious weaving that I did just there. And I am kicking ass and taking names. No, I'm not really. I'm driving badly. And I'm about to hit traffic. That's because I'm about to reach a toll booth. I wonder how expensive this toll booth's going to be. So, we have 8 hours of journey time left. I'm going to take this opportunity to check. I've got 5 hours, 20 hours. So I've got 5 hours. So I would say I've got 4 hours until I have to start looking for a rest stop. So I'm picking up a ticket. I'm not actually paying at this point. And look, I'm up to £305,000 already. This is all good. We're well on our way to being able to afford our next garage. So in 4 hours, I need to be looking for a garage. That's not a garage, a rest stop. So we're now, I believe, if we check the map out, we're now heading east. We're heading east towards our final destination, and our final destination is Warsaw. And I believe we've already got a garage. Oh no, it's not Warsaw. Ignore the heck out of me. It's Białystok. Actually, do you know what? I might get the garage in Białystok. Białystok is as far east, I think, as we can go. Look at that map. Look how golden that map is. 53.2% of the map. We've still got quite a bit of the UK. We've got Aberdeen, Carlisle, Newcastle, Grimsby, Cardiff and Croydon to discover in the UK. And we've got a huge chunk of roads. Perhaps I should have gone to Swansea. I know I've been there already, but mind you, I've been to Białystok already as well. Ugh. Anyway, so back to the driving, because this is probably not very interesting to you. So another change which was driven by the tyre manufacturer Pirelli, because they're sick and tired of being considered unreliable, because it affects their commercial sales of tyres. A lot of people who buy Pirelli tyres don't buy Pirelli tyres because of their Formula 1 involvement. They buy Pirelli tyres because Pirelli have a reputation, and that reputation is being dented by their participation in Formula 1. So they don't want their tyres disintegrating. What they want is their tyres to lose performance at a set time, so that teams feel necessary to change those tyres. So that's the changes they've made to those tyres and make them more robust, while trying to keep their performance at the pace and distance required by the FIA and by the TV companies, to make the spectacle interesting. So it shakes things up to make tyre strategy important. So that's what's happened. Those are the changes that have occurred. There are other minor changes, but the two practice sessions that they allowed, one in Bahrain, I believe, and one in Jerez in Spain, it made it look very much like Red Bull were going to suck, because they did suck. They couldn't get many miles under their belt. It did indicate that Mercedes was the turbo engine to have, and that Renault wasn't performing, and that Red Bull would be the team would be probably the only Renault powered team that would be able to spend their way out of the problem. And the big problem that Red Bull have is reliability. They cannot get their engines, they're having a struggle getting their engines to deal with overheating. Now, this is partly the problem of the design philosophy of Adrian Newey, the savant that's in charge of their design team. He likes to package the cars as tightly as possible, as little space wasted inside the car as they can possibly get away with. And what that's meant is that parts of the engine covering have been warping under the heat generated by the Renault engine. I think I'm going to get a speeding fine here, but I'm in a rush. I'm getting this load as quickly as possible. Whoa. So I'm going to go through this toll booth because I think this one is empty. I'm determined not to crash into another toll booth. £43. Right, that'll do, I guess. Now, do I have anyone underneath me? You can fiddle with the mirrors. I think I fiddle with the mirrors because I've got two mirrors on the left-hand side, as you can see. And the nice thing about having two separate mirrors is that I can fiddle with the angle of the mirrors individually. And the bottom mirror I've got looking down as much as possible. And I don't know whether it's saved that or not. It doesn't look like it. But I want to be able to see down as low as possible. Now, the one thing that I'm going to miss when I get the track IR is I'm going to miss that mirror. Although it's a huge pain in the neck because it's blocking a chunk of my view, what it will do is it will allow me to aim the mirrors south. But the problem is the view from that mirror that's smack blocking my view is that it's lighter. I'm getting a better view than I am getting from the real mirrors. I say real mirrors, the real virtual mirrors. And that's an issue, because I can actually see what's going on behind me because of that fake mirror. Now I can't get rid of that mirror at the moment without the track IR, because I need to be able to see what's behind me and at the side of me on the left hand side. The issue with that one mirror that we've got there is that it's not a very long view. Whoa. Why are we slowing down? What are we slowing down for, eh? Oh God, really? You want to pull up at this distance from a toll booth? That's just ludicrous. Alright, we're gonna pull in, we're gonna hopefully beat those vehicles to the toll booth. And we're going to hopefully beat them out of it with picking up a ticket. Yeah, I think we have beaten that car out. That slow vehicle, and there's nothing in front of us, so we've got a clear road in front. Yep, I beat him. You can just see him you can't really see him, but if you look in the top mirror, which is just there, you can see these two little white dots. We've pulled away from him somewhat because he's slower at accelerating for some reason than a fully loaded truck, but you know. So, Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne. Albert Park is a beautiful venue for this. It's the coastline of. It's relatively near the beach, but it's around a lake. Albert Park has a lake in the middle of it, and they close the park. They lay some greenery. Some of the track goes over a car park. But the thing about the F1 circus is it seems to very much resemble itself no matter where it goes. You get the beautiful locations. You get differing weather conditions. Like Canada, sometimes there's an absolute lake on the track. Singapore's a night race. Abu Dhabi's a twilight race, so it starts at daytime and ends at night time. Silverstone is in the middle of nowhere, so there are no physical. There's nothing to show you where you are, but it is a beautiful circuit. Nuremberg, the Nürburgring is in the middle of a forest, as is Spa, but Spa's got these beautiful undulations, things like Eau Rouge, this wonderful S that climbs a hill. Albert Park has got the city of Melbourne in the background, which is quite interesting to look at. It's got some very interesting buildings that you can see in the background. It's got the lake in the middle, which is quite interesting, and it's got this sort of schizophrenic weather conditions. When we were flying to Melbourne from Christchurch, the weather conditions, according to the weather services of Australia and New Zealand, seemed to indicate that it was going to rain on the Sunday and it would be dry up till then. Ultimately, that's not what happened. What happened was qualifying day was the day when all of the rain happened, and that actually had an impact on the race itself. The first thing we noticed was the difference in the noise. Now, that was obvious because they had a thing called a speed comparison test on all 4 days that we got access to the park. The Thursday, where there was no Formula 1, the Friday, which was practice 1 and 2, the Saturday, which was practice 3 and qualifying, and the Sunday, which was the race itself. We didn't get to hear a comparison with the new cars on the Thursday because no Formula 1 car from 2014 drove on that day, but we did get to hear a reminder of how flipping loud Formula 1 cars can be. David Coulthard ran an RB7, which is the 2010, was it 2010 or was it 2011 entry that was driven by Vettel. My goodness, it was a reminder of how incredibly loud the V10 engines, the V8 engines were. They scream at you. It's incredibly painful if you don't have earplugs. Watching, and I made the mistake of not having earplugs for one of the races. I went away from the race with a headache. Now, it didn't stop me enjoying the race, but oh my goodness, that headache stayed with me for a couple of days. And I was worried that I'd permanently affected my hearing. On Friday for practice 1, we got a chance before anything happened to listen to that V8 engine once more with David Coulthard. They run a thing called the let me explain what the speed comparison is. They run a normal road car, a Mercedes AMG, which is a very, very fast road car, and they have former superbike rider Mick Doohan, Australian Mick Doohan. He ran a lap of the Albert Park circuit so they could get a time, a banker, as it were, a sort of a test. This is how long it's going to take. There in Australia, they have V8 supercars. These are incredible vehicles. Holden, who are the Australian and New Zealand version of Vauxhall and Opel. Ford. Blimey, whoa, Nelly. I think this might be another toll booth. Yeah, it's another toll booth. Ford run a Falcon. So Holden run a Commodore. Ford run the Falcon. Volvo, for the first time, running an S. I think it's an S60. £63. What else was there? Mercedes had a vehicle out there. BMW had, I think, a 3 Series. There were, yeah. So I mean, they are noisy. They make a thunderous noise. And so that was the second car, and this RB7 that Coulthard was driving. Now the V8 supercars, they had the Holden were running their works team. So the 4 different Holden drivers ran on 5 different speed tests. So they ran a speed test, and then they started practice session 1, and it was astonishing. You actually don't need the earplugs for the brand new Formula 1 cars. Now you'll still need to take the earplugs with you when you go to a Formula 1 event in Europe, because I believe the GP2 and the GP3 cars are still quite noisy. But it will be astonishing to all concerned. Oh, I need to find somewhere to rest. Ah, sugar. Yeah, oh, I've got 2 hours. I'm all right. But I need. Let's look at the map, see where our next rest spot is. It's after the next toll booth. Although I can probably rest at a toll booth. But we're quite close. So actually, I think this video is going to be less than an hour. No, sorry, it's an hour now. It's an hour now. Ish. Yeah, I am going to rest at the toll booth. So I'm going to pull over to the right, because the rest stops at the toll booth are right after the there. Oh no, poo. Damn it. I can't go down that one. Oh, good. I got lucky. I got really lucky that nothing was coming up this lane. Oof, I'm really hungry. And I should get there we go, engine off, rest time. Oh god, it's raining. I'm not a big fan of rain. So, we're quite close to our destination, which means we're quite close to my calamitous efforts at parking. Oh, look how much money we've got. Money is, I think, not going to be an issue very soon. It's, yes, it's not going to be an issue at all. So, that is for the spectator. It's the most obvious thing. It's not going to be as obvious on television, because you don't really get to hear the difference. It's most obvious in person, because I remember having followed Formula 1 since 1984, so you're getting an idea of how old I am. I'm in my mid-40s, and I was in my mid-teens. Well, I was earlier. I was probably still in my early teens. 14, yeah, 14, I think. When I watched the US Grand Prix in, I think it was Dallas, when Nigel Mansell pushed his Lotus across the finish line and collapsed. And I've been watching Formula 1 at the very few races missed between 1984 and 2013, when I missed most of them. because New Zealand just doesn't give a crap about Formula One. And it's been stolen by His Royal Scumminess Rupert, the scumbag of Murdoch. I can't stand that guy. He's ruining sport, one sport at a time. And one has to lay the blame at the BBC for giving it up. They didn't want ITV to get it, so they gave it to Sky. And as soon as the BBC decide they can't afford it at all, that'll be it. It'll be on Sky in the UK, and you'll have to have. So my two favourite sports in the world are now on a minority TV channel in the United Kingdom. It pisses me off so much, I can't even begin to describe it. Oh, I'm speeding. That's how angry I am. Oh, no, please slow down. Good. I thought I was going to crash into another. £5? Wow. See, Poland, I must be in Poland now. I must be in Poland. Poland is the cheapest place to be for fuel. It's the cheapest place to be for toll booths. It's just cheap. Alright, let's weave our way in and out of the traffic. Oh, no, actually that's good, that's good. Go on. That's it, young man. Scoot off. Is that a loan instalment? I have no idea, because it's been like 2 weeks since I've looked at this. I've got no idea where we are with the loans. I think we're more than halfway through our loan repayment. But as you can see by our bank balance, our loan is irrelevant now. Although I won't rule out getting another loan should we go from city to city and need to buy a garage. Right, we're turning left at Warsaw. So that means we're not far off Białystok. Oh, I didn't think we were going to do that. I thought we were going to crash again. Oh. Because I keep forgetting to put the parking brake on, I keep forgetting to take it off on those occasions when I do remember. I don't like to pull up too close because I like, when that goes amber, I like to have a little bit of rolling distance between me and the vehicle in front because the AI tends to be quite slow off the uptake. So, alright, see what I mean? I was moving before they were, which is not realistic. Cars, unless it's being driven by an elderly Sunday driver, vehicles tend to bolt from traffic lights as soon as the light goes amber. Obviously that's not a practice that they want to encourage because they don't want to be picketed and complained about by road safety Nazis. I shouldn't use that phrase, road safety people, because it's actually bad to jump a light. And it's not a practice that I actually do myself in real life, so. This is going to go amber before I get to go through it. Yeah, bloody knew it. Okay. Come on. Come on. Yeah, that's it. Now, the one thing that worries me now is, do I have a vehicle inside me? No, I don't. I'm lucky. I'm actually quite hungry now. I'm recording this and I was going to start eating my lunch while I was downloading the first half of this journey, but I wanted to get cracking straight away, and it finished downloading before I could finish making the lunch. So my stomach is quite angry with me right now. So yes, we one of the things I noticed, we noticed immediately. In fact, we noticed before when we bought our tickets, was how much cheaper it is to watch Formula One in Australia than it is to watch it in the United Kingdom. if you go with a cost with an exchange rate in New Zealand, the New Zealand dollar is about 2 to 1. It's a few pennies difference. It's like 20 cents less in Australia than it is in New Zealand, so it's not far off. Our tickets for the Grand Prix were $400 each, 400 Australian dollars each. That translates to just over £200. What we got for that was a guaranteed seat in a grandstand for all 4 days, entrance, and a free trackside radio. Yes, I got free radio to listen to the Formula One commentary with my ticket. We didn't get the $15 program. That's fine. And in fairness, the radio would probably only cost about $5 to $10 for them to make, so you know, it's not a great deal. But we got 4 grandstand seats, guaranteed seats. Not like at the British Grand Prix where you only get your guaranteed seat on the Sunday. Now let's put this into context. $400, that's £200. When my wife and I buy our early bird ticket for our Grand Prix, it costs £600. Now that does give us a pitch in the campsite. I think it's £550 without the campsite, but still £550. We only get a guaranteed seat on the Sunday. If the stand we want to watch practice, and we can't even sit in the seat, our Sunday seat, necessarily, because it's a free-for-all on Friday and Saturday. So yes, it's significantly cheaper to watch Formula One in Australia than it is in the UK. Now there are two sides to that. It's you know, there's one side. Bloody hell, are we being ripped off in the United Kingdom for watch Formula One? We're being ripped. I nearly crashed there to turning off my wipers. The other side is, it's clearly not as popular a sport in Australia as it is in the UK. Now there are two factors to why it might not be as popular. Australia is in the middle of a giant ocean, so if you want to go to Formula One, it's essentially people who've travelled specifically to Australia to watch the Grand Prix, and people in Australia and people in New Zealand now. Australia has a population of 23 million people, New Zealand has a population of 4.2 million people. That is, give or take, 28 million people relatively locally. Christchurch to Melbourne was a 3-hour flight. It's an hour flight to Auckland, ish. So it's 2 hours from Auckland, which is significantly, by a wide margin, the largest population in New Zealand. The UK has a population of 63 million people, and the Heathrow is a central hub for the world. More flights, more destinations route in and out of Heathrow than anywhere else in the world. More destinations. Now, I'm not saying that more people come in and out, more flights come in and out, but more destinations. It's easier to get to Heathrow, London Heathrow, than anywhere else in the world. That's really important. So that might explain. Now, also, it didn't seem as busy at Melbourne as it does at Silverstone. Albert Park seemed quieter. It seemed easier to get to the lavatory. It seemed easier and quicker to get food than it does at Silverstone. That might be because they've got better organisation when it comes to support facilities, but I doubt that, because it's the same people organising the support facilities at Albert Park as it is organising the support facilities at Silverstone. I think it just means there are more people. The other slight difference with Albert Park is that almost no one is camping at Albert Park. Most people are staying in a hotel or a bed and breakfast in and around the city of Melbourne, because the racetrack is smack in the middle of a major metropolitan city with a population of over 5 million people. That, to me, is possibly the biggest difference. People aren't as desperate for food at Albert Park as they are at Silverstone, because at Silverstone you're cooking your own food, which means you have to bring it with you, which is much more difficult to do. It's much more difficult. My wife and I arrive at Silverstone on the Wednesday and pitch our tent, because if you don't get a decent pitch, and you have to walk bloody miles to get to the circuit. Now, that helped us for the 2012 British Grand Prix, because the 2012 British Grand Prix was essentially a river of mud, and it wasn't as bad when we arrived, which meant that we got to pitch our tent relatively close to the circuit, and our car wasn't in a mile when we arrived. We did have to get towed out. We didn't have to get towed out, because the road had not been munted. The access road hadn't been as badly munted. I am going to have to do that. Luckily for me, Białystok has been relatively well explored by me in a previous, and it's tiny. Alright, so I don't have to worry about driving around it like I did with, but I've got essentially 2.5. Oh crap. No. Oh, I've screwed the pooch here. Oh, I've damaged the load. Oh, I haven't. I have no idea how I managed that. But I've managed to not damage my load by some freaky miracle. I might end up with an excellent out of this load. That's impatience. Because I've got I'm going to run out of space before I get to park, because it takes me about 5 to 10 minutes to park this damn thing. And in we go. We'll see how much we can get away with. I think I was in a better position than I thought I was. Right. I'm going to pause now, and I am going to upload the footage, because I'm about to run out of space, and I'd rather not lose a moment of this journey, so I'll be back in a second. Then we're back. Alright, we should be making our way back to the right direction. Is this going to be good enough? Can we get in? Can we avoid whacking? We didn't get that back soon enough. Yeah. Curses. hopefully this should be it. Hopefully we should be in. Yay, we're in. Oh, relief. Let's get rid of that noise. Parking brake on, engine off. Right, let's quickly go through it. Yes! You have no idea how excited getting an excellent makes me, given how rare they are for us these days. So 942k, not a great deal of distance. 24 hours and 56 minutes, 352.3 litres. Our base reward of £20,920 and 942 XP. A proficiency bonus for level 28 of £8,786. A long distance delivery bonus for skill rank 5 of £2,017 and 235 XP. A high value cargo bonus for skill rank 5 of £5,042 and 169 XP. An urgent delivery bonus for skill rank 4 of £4,034 and 282 XP. And a parking bonus of 45 XP, giving us a total of £40,798 and 1,673 XP. That's a nice little chunk of level 28 got rid of. Obviously, the further up the tree that we go, the longer it takes to upgrade, to level up, sorry. So we're nearly at level 30. Well, we're less than halfway to level 30. This profile has a lifetime XP of 89,560. And we are still aiming at that 92,900 XP for level 29. But it was good to be back. This is the second full journey since the debark with the beta from SCS and its clash with ProMods. But we're happy to be back. It's good. Alright then, thank you very much for watching this. Thank you, whether this is the only one you've watched, the only one you'll watch, or whether you are watching all of them. I thank you. You're one of the reasons I make this, beside the fact that it's fun. And until I see you hopefully in the next video, I'm going to see you on the road.